How poaching rules work and why they were introduced. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and recently I got asked a question on the channel about why the poaching rules were introduced and if I could explain that a little bit more. So back in the day when I was working up in Taufa in the late 90s, before that, if the nipper or the underground truck driver or one of the workers on the open pit quit and the foreman liked the person working in the camp or the utility or whoever was driving the bus or whatever, they'd just snavel them up and offer them a job straight away. And then about 1998 they brought these new rules in, and like I said, I was in Taufa at that stage, and basically what the catering companies wanted was to ring fence their employers from the mining companies, because what was happening was that they were just getting poached, straight away, and it was really hard to keep staff on site, and it was really hard to keep chefs happy, and the beds made and the dishes washed, and just everything was under the pump at one stage, and everything suffered. It was pretty bad. And so they decided as a collective, and most of the catering companies demanded this to be part of the contract that they signed, was that there were poaching rules introduced on site. So if you went from one employer to another employer on a site, then you had to leave site for 6 months before you could come back with the new employer, and that stopped that poaching dead. Now, it still can go on. If you're working for an owner operator and they really want you to move across, then they can make that happen. But as a general rule of thumb, all the catering companies around Australia that are running these camps and these mining on these mine sites all have it written into their contract that nobody can, if any of their staff leave, then they've got to go off site for 6 months before they can come back on site with the new employer. Now, it is what it is in regards to that. It did fix the problem, but it created a new problem. It unfortunately turned the utility role into a dead-end job. 95% of the people that get on as a utility think it's a stepping stone to another job, and it's not, because what you've in fact got to do is you've got to get in, just getting in good with the foreman on the site that you're in isn't good enough. You've got to get in that good with them that they're prepared to send you to another site as a new starter. And that, for most people, is a bridge too far. It's one thing bringing somebody onto your own crew that you know and you've worked with before. It's another thing trusting somebody else to send you somebody that, okay, they'll be good. When, a lot of people don't work out in this, unfortunately. They have significant failure rates with their new starters. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, the poaching rules are there on most mine sites. It's like anything else. If you're dealing with an owner-operator, the people that own the lease and are operating themselves, then they can often break the rules if they want to. Some mine sites, do, but the majority of them don't, because they just don't want the constant turnover of their staff in their camp, because when that happens, the quality of the camp deteriorates rapidly, and it's hard to maintain your mining workforce when you've got a shit camp, and especially when there's a lot of work around at the moment. I would never think about leaving a job because of the camp, but I know people that have in the past, because there's so much work around and they just got the shits with the very average meals that were coming out. And that's the reality of the situation. It's the opposite when you're going in a downturn. There's no work around. Everybody's got to take what they can get. But at the moment, we're in the middle of one of the biggest booms that we've had in a long time, and there's just absolutely work everywhere. You only have to type underground into Seek to see all that. But that's just a short rendition of a short understanding of why the poaching rules exist, why they brought them in, and how they work. And like I said, if you're working for the owner-operator, you can break those rules at any time, because that's their prerogative. But the majority of people that are looking to jump from a utility job into a mining job are looking to jump over with someone like a Ruck or a McMahon's or a Burncut or a Barminco or Thies or something like that. And with those jumps, they all fall under the poaching rules, and it's virtually impossible. So it is what it is, and I hope that answers your question. And if you could share this video around and like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.